What if I told you that the biggest barrier to our growth isn't what we don't know, but what we are absolutely certain about? Right now, you are carrying beliefs that are quietly destroying your potential. Beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, what is possible, and the worst part, you do not even know you are carrying them. We have spent our whole life learning, but the most successful people are those who have mastered something far more powerful, and that is the art of unlearning. And by the end of this video, we will understand why letting go might be one of the most radical acts of transformation we will ever experience. I need to tell you something that took me years to accept. I was wrong about a whole lot of things. And here is the twist. Realizing I was wrong was one of the biggest things that happened to me. See, we live in a culture obsessed with being right, obsessed with knowing, obsessed with certainty. We collect degrees, attend seminars, read books, listen to podcasts, all to add to our knowledge. But there is a hidden cost to all of this accumulation. Every belief we adopt, every truth we accept creates a filter through which we see the world. And over time, those filters become prison bars. Now I'm going to share an example. A 47-year-old neuroscientist, Dr. G. Botte Taylor, she had a massive stroke. And when her logical brain shut down, she described experiencing pure bliss, what she could only call nirvana. She was a Harvard-trained brain scientist who spent her career proving that consciousness was produced by the brain, that everything we are, everything we feel comes from neural activity. But when half of her brain stopped working, she didn't lose consciousness. Instead, she experienced something she couldn't explain with her science. All her scientific certainty, all her rational explanations for consciousness dissolved. And in its place, she experienced what she could only describe as pure essence, a oneness with everything. And underneath, she experienced peace she had never known. She felt herself merge with the energy around her. And for the first time in her scientifically trained life, she experienced consciousness beyond the brain. So when she recovered, she had to reconcile the two realities. Her scientific training that said consciousness is produced by the brain, and her direct experience that suggested something far more mysterious. So she chose to unlearn the rigid materialism of her field and embrace both perspectives. So what am I hinting at here? Think about it. She had to lose half her brain to unlearn her limitations. So, what if our beliefs, even the ones we are most proud of, even the ones backed by degrees and research, are mostly the things blocking us from who we can become? Today, we are talking about the art of unlearning, because sometimes the path forward requires you to go backward first. Let me introduce you to a concept psychologists call cognitive entrenchment. Dr. Babashiv at Stanford ran a fascinating experience. He gave two groups of people a problem to solve. One group was told to feel confident about their approach, and the other was encouraged to stay flexible and question their assumptions. The confident group, they failed miserably. They got stuck using the first strategy they thought of, even when it clearly wasn't working. But the flexible group, they were able to adapt, so they pivoted and succeeded. So sometimes certainty, when we are so certain, when we are so sure, that attitude often makes us stupid. But here is where it gets interesting and personal. Neuroscientist Dr. Tali Sharot at the UCL discovers something she calls the belief paradox. When people receive information that confirms what they already believe, their brain lights up with activity and they update their beliefs easily. But when they receive information that contradicts that belief, the update mechanism essentially shuts down. Our brain literally resists change. It is not necessarily a character flaw, it's pure biology. Now, think about the last argument you had. You know that moment deep down when you realize that the other person actually had a point, but you couldn't let yourself admit it. Instead, you double down, you go defensive. We could say it's stubbornness, but again, it is identity protection. Because here is the uncomfortable and surprising truth. Our beliefs aren't just ideas we have. They become who we think we are. So when somebody challenges our belief, our brain interprets it as a threat to survival. That's why changing our minds feels like dying a little. Now, here is a wonderful thing. Dr. Jonas Kaplan at USC put people in MFRI machines and then challenged their political beliefs. Do you know what happened? The same brain regions that process physical threats lit up. Meaning, our brain treats a challenged belief like a physical threat. Now let me get personal for a moment. Let me tell you about someone close to me. A friend I watched nearly destroy himself. About 5 years ago, he believed that to be successful, he had to sacrifice everything. Sleep, relationships, health, joy, you name it. He wore his exhaustion like a badge of honor. Look, he says, how hard I'm working. Look how committed I am. And he genuinely believes that anyone who wasn't suffering like him wasn't serious enough about life. And that belief nearly killed him. He had panic attacks, insomnia, a body that was shutting down at 34 years old. Who was he without the hustle, without the struggle, without proving his worth through suffering? He had to unlearn himself to survive. And this is exactly why we are stuck. Not because we don't know enough, but because we know too much. And what we know is often outdated, inherited from others, or was never even true to begin with. The career path we are forcing ourselves down because that's what responsible people do. The relationship patterns we repeat because this is just how love works. The self-image we maintain because this is who we've always been. These aren't truths. They are prisons disguised as protection. So how do we unlearn? Because this isn't becoming a blank slate, no, or rejecting everything we know. It is far more nuanced than that. So, step 1, identify the belief's origin. Most of what we believe did not originate from us. Dr. Bruce Lipton, his research in epigenetics showed that 95% of our behaviors and beliefs are programmed into our subconscious by the age of 7. Think about that. A 7-year-old version of us is running our entire life. So, the first step is simple and profound. We ask ourselves, where did this belief come from? Whatever the belief, where did this belief come from? That belief, we are not creative. Did we decide that? Or did someone else, perhaps a teacher's comment when we were just 9 years old, did that decide that for us? The conviction that we have to work hard to deserve success. Is that our truth or our parents' anxiety projected onto us? This isn't about blaming anyone. Our parents did the best they could. Our teachers meant well. Society was just being society. But here is what we need to understand. Most of our operating system was installed by other people without our permission before we could even give consent. And we have been running that outdated software our entire life, wondering why things feel so glitchy. Step 2, apply radical inquiry. There is a reason Socrates is remembered 2,400 years later, because his method works. For every belief we hold, especially the ones that cause us suffering, he suggests we ask these 3 questions. 1. Is this actually true? Not does it feel true, but is there subjective evidence? 2. How would I be different without this belief? Who will I become if this wasn't weighing me down? 3. What would I think, feel, or do if the opposite were true? Many people believe if I'm not stressed, I'm not working hard enough. But the question is this true? Well, no. Research from Harvard shows that stress decreases productivity by up to 50%. So objectively, it is false. That single unlearning can change our entire lives, because suddenly we are no longer glorifying suffering anymore. We are no longer wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor. And we are not measuring our worth by how much we sacrifice. We are free. Step 3, create the conscious void. Be comfortable with not knowing. Let's be comfortable saying, I don't know. I'm figuring this out. I used to think X, but I'm open to new understanding. This is what Zen Buddhism calls the beginner's mind. Approaching life with fresh eyes, as if we've never seen it before. Now, the void isn't empty. It's pregnant with possibility. It is the dark soil where new growth begins. It is the silence between notes that makes music beautiful. The void is where transformation lives. You might wish to take a short break and listen to the music specifically created for this particular talk. Otherwise, feel free to skip to the continuation of the story.
I thought I had it figured out. Prison bars I never saw at bar. Every belief I swore was mine was a mirror of someone else's shine. Chasing paths I never chose. What if being so certain is locking every open door? I'm unlearning, letting go of who I thought I had to be. I'm unlearning, the prison of certainty is breaking free. I'm becoming, transforming, unlearning, ever growing, chasing worth through endless strain, till the body whispers pain. We wear our suffering as crowns. Freedom comes when we lay them down. Oh, what if being so certain is locking every open Stop the need to be right and seek the light of truth. I am not my beliefs, I am the awareness that can choose every breakthrough. Question what was known. Are you willing to die a little to shed that skin you've outgrown? I'm unlearning, dancing in the space of endless being, shedding every skin I've outgrown. The plus factor always creating, unlearning, ever growing, ever growing, ever growing. What belief are you ready to release? Your certainty is your cage. Your curiosity is your freedom.
Welcome back. So, let me tell you about 2 or 3 people who unlearn their ways to completely different lives. These are not fairy tales. These are documented transformations. Dr. Gabor Mate spent decades as a physician treating addictions in Vancouver's downtown east side, one of the hardest places in North America. He was following the standard medical model that addiction is a brain disease. Treat the symptoms, manage the conditions. But something wasn't working. His patients kept relapsing. So he did something radical. He unlearned everything his medical training had taught him about addiction. He started asking different questions. Not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you. What he discovered and what is now supported by the CDC's landmark ACE study on childhood trauma is that addiction isn't a disease of the brain. It is an adaptation to trauma. People aren't broken, they are simply coping, often with the tools they were given. By unlearning the disease model and learning a trauma-informed approach, Dr. Mate revolutionized how we understand addiction, and his work has influenced policy changes and treatment centers worldwide. One person's willingness to be wrong and thousands of lives have been changed. Now the second story is about Arianna Huffington, who built one of the most successful media companies in history. She was the definition of making it. Wealthy, influential, constantly in demand. And then she collapsed. She broke her cheekbone, passing out from exhaustion at her desk. In the hospital bed, she had to unlearn everything she believed about success. That working 18 hours a day meant we are committed. That sacrifice and suffering were prerequisites for achievement. That rest was for the weak. She wrote about this in Thrive, explaining how she had to dismantle her entire relationship with productivity. Because who was she without the hustle? What was she worth without the grinding? She unlearned hustle culture and created a whole new model based on well-being. And the result? Not only did her health transform, but her companies became successful. She started Thrive Global, which has helped millions of people redefine success. She had to break her face to break her beliefs. Now, notice the pattern. Each of these people hit a wall, a moment where their existing beliefs stopped working. And instead of doubling down, instead of insisting they were right, they got humble, they got curious, they unlearned. And that changed everything. Not just for them, but for everyone their lives touched afterward. That is the ripple effect of unlearning. When you free yourself, you give permission to everyone else to do the same. So, what happens after we unlearn? What grows in that space we have created? It is everything we have been seeking. We need to recognize that our current understanding of reality is always provisional, always incomplete, always ready to evolve. There is always the plus elements. Think of beliefs like a software. Our childhood installed version 1.0, our education updated it to 2.0, our early relationship patched us to 3.0, but most people eventually stop updating. They hit version 3.5 and decide, well, this is me, this is truth, I'm done. And then they wonder why life is the way it is, why the same problems keep appearing, why relationships follow the same painful patterns. Unlearning is our willingness to keep updating, to run version 10.0, version 15.0, version 50.0, knowing that there is no final version. We should practice intellectual humility. Research from Duke University shows that people with high intellectual humility, those who readily admit that they don't know, actually learn faster and make better decisions. Start adding phrases to your vocabulary and mean them. Phrases like, I could be wrong about this. I am still learning. That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. Or, help me understand your perspective. These aren't signs of weakness. They are signs of strength. Fragile people always seek to be right, but the strong only need to be accurate. So, seek contradictory information. Read from authors who disagree with you. Have conversations with people from different backgrounds, different religions. Travel if you can, even to a different neighborhood. This is one reliable way to expand your consciousness. What if is a powerful phrase. What if success didn't require suffering? What if I am already enough? What if the universe was supportive rather than hostile? What if my worthiness wasn't conditional? Anthropologists have a term, liminality. It is the in-between states during transitions. No longer who we are, not yet who we wish to be. The caterpillar doesn't become a butterfly by adding wings. It becomes soup first, complete dissolution. Only then can transformation happen. We might need to be soup for a while, and that's okay. Unlearning doesn't end. It is a continuous evolution. Dr. Robert Kagan at Harvard studied adult development for over 40 years. His research shows that most adults stop developing psychologically in their 20s, not because they can't grow, but because they stop unlearning. Remember, every belief is negotiable. Every identity is temporary. Every truth we hold can be questioned. This doesn't lead to chaos, it leads to freedom. A lot of people measure their worth by what they've accomplished, how productive they are, how much they can prove to the world that they mattered. These can lead to a miserable, anxious living, and they feel never enough. So, start asking, what if I am already worthy? What if there is nothing to prove? What if rest is productive? What if doing less could mean being more? This gives room for presence, joy, actual connection with people. It will be surprising to note that your life won't suffer. It gets improved because we are creating from overflow instead of desperation. And here is the beautiful part. When we unlearn our limitations, we give everyone around us permission to unlearn theirs. Our partner sees us change and thinks, maybe I can change too. Our children watch us admit we were wrong and learn that growth matters more than being right. Our friends witness our transformation and start questioning their own stuck patterns. Unlearning can be contagious. Before we wrap this up, here are 5 practices we can start today. 1. The daily belief audit. Each morning, write down one belief that guided our behavior yesterday. Ask, is this still serving me? If not, release it. 2. Break the norm exercise. Once a week, deliberately do something opposite to our usual pattern. Take a different route. Order something new. Argue for the side we normally disagree with. Break that autopilot, because autopilot is where unconscious belief hide. 3. The belief source journal. Take your 3 strongest beliefs about yourself. Write them down. For example, I am not creative. I am bad with money. I always fail at relationships. Then write their origin story. Who taught you this? Why? When? Why did you believe them? Are they still relevant? Are they even true? Point 4. The letting go ritual. Once a month, or as often as you desire, physically write down a belief you are releasing. Then discard it. Imagine perhaps a river of light, or a waterfall of pure love. Throw it in. Point 5. Learn to tune in. At least 5 minutes a day. Probably morning and evening. Find time to look within and just settle in the silence. It helps you more than you imagine. Some people use this time to chant or sing certain sacred words. Love, peace, Om, Jesus, God, Hugh, etc. This practice helps us to reach out to more realities that govern existence. Remember, the goal isn't to become someone with no beliefs. It is to become someone who holds beliefs lightly, who can adapt, who can grow, who can say, I was wrong, without it destroying them. Our certainty is our cage, but our curiosity or flexibility is our freedom. So I'll leave you with this question. What belief are we ready to unlearn? Not what new thing should I learn? Not what should I add to my life, but what needs to be released? What truth are we clinging to that is actually keeping us small? You might want to drop that in the comment section. But here is what I have learned through all of this. The most powerful version of us isn't the one who knows everything. It is the one who is willing to know nothing and start afresh. Every master was once a beginner who was willing to unlearn. Every breakthrough came from someone who questioned what everyone else accepted. Every transformation requires a death of who we were. Are we willing to die a little? To shed that old skin? To become unrecognizable to our former self? If we are already transforming. Share this with someone who is stuck in their old story. Hit subscribe if you want more of this. And remember, we are not our beliefs. We are the awareness that can change them.